So the Democratic presidential PBS debate, whoever you want to call it, was this past Thursday. And it's only been 2 days since that happened, but yesterday, the Andrew Yang campaign announced that it raised 750,000 in less than 48 hours. The campaign said in a statement that the total was fueled by 20,000 donations, a third of which came from first-time donors. The latest haul builds on the 2 million the campaign recently raised over a 10-day span while it went on the bus tour of Iowa. The most important thing we can do over the coming weeks is make sure that Iowans and New Hampshireites are hearing Andrew's message, said Yang campaign chief Nick Ryan. It's exciting that voters are seeing much more of Andrew in person on TV, but there's still more to be done. We found that when voters truly listen to what Andrew has to say, they very quickly consider him as one of their top choices. His message, in conjunction with our strong ground game, spell a tremendous upside for this campaign come February. The campaign's fundraising since debates comes after Yang gave what was widely viewed as a strong performance at the event. The tech entrepreneur lambasted the lack of diversity on stage as the only candidate of color to qualify for the debate, and frequently touted his central proposal of a freedom dividend to give every American adult $1,000 a month. While the haul definitely serves a boost for Yang, it is unclear how long the surge of support will last. Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat of California, saw a similar spike in donations and a surge in the polls after a heated clash with former Vice President Joe Biden at the first primary debate, only to see her standing in national and early state surveys steadily shrink over the next several months before she dropped out in early December. So they're trying to say, well, just because Yang is getting an upside, don't take it to mean he's going to have some victory or surprisingly do better than what is expected of his polling numbers. Really, what is so frustrating about the DNC and their little crooked process is that debates are really the only time you can get millions of people to just tune in. Most of us don't pay attention to this stuff on a daily basis like I do. So it's a lot harder for them to not know people who aren't Sanders or Biden or Warren or some other person with high name recognition. And Yang is definitely suffering from that. He has suffered from that throughout this entire cycle. When you see the 6, 7, 8%, that mainly is because people don't know who the hell he is. And you gotta understand, out of all 6 of these debates, Yang has spoken the least of any kid, and you can look this up, you don't believe me. Out of the 6 debates, he's spoken the least of any candidate in all of them except for one, which I can't even remember which one it was. But that serves to screw him up because even if millions of people are tuning in and you've got some stage with 10, 12, in one case it was that large, or 7 people and you only get to speak for 5, 6, 8 minutes, it's very hard to leave an impression. And that's why I said that I do wonder what would have happened if, let's say, Yang was in some field where it was only maybe 3, 4 people. It would have been a lot easier for him to get attention and coverage due to the fact that there weren't so many crowding around. Because, unfortunately, grassroots movements don't really matter for these cable networks. Case in point, Sanders raised the most from anybody, of any candidate. Didn't get mentioned on MSNBC 1 second. So they're doing the exact same thing to Yang. This major story about this big fundraising boost, and the only people covering it are online sources like The Hill. Like this is how they screw people's candidates up. They don't cover them, and then after you don't get covered, less people hear about you. So then you lose, and then you get blamed for running some crappy campaign when no one even knew who the hell you were.